Okay, so here's a question. Can you fail at your own challenge? Yeah, I think it's possible, but let's not let that happen, okay? Let's try a little harder. Hey guys, so if you caught my last vlog over on YouTube, then you know that I am working on a little special project this month, and I have some sketches done, I have some concepts done. They're very, very rough, but I know which one I like. I want to know what you guys think, so I'm gonna put up a poll. Tell me which one you like best. Okay, so here's the thing. We are back to finish up this vintage advertising illustration that we've been working on, and to be fair, I took some time off from it, and I have to admit I probably lost a little bit of steam on this one. I still like it. I'm still interested in doing it, but the excitement's not there. So yeah, so we're kind of going through the motions a little bit, but I don't want to let myself not do it. I want to finish it. I just may not finish it to the level that I had originally thought. But let's give it a try. We're gonna give it a try. So let me take you back and let's recap where we are. Let me catch you up on what I've been doing since the last video. Okay, so once I had the comps created and I kind of had a direction for which one I was going to move forward, I couldn't put it off anymore. I had to start creating the assets, and I decided to ultimately go digital with this because I knew there were going to be a lot of tweaks along the way, since I really wasn't 100% sure in my head where I wanted to land with even having the thumbnail comps. I just wasn't sure where I wanted to land. So I started creating the assets, and I started with this side-by-side format, which, you know, the dog on the left and the type on the right. And I liked it, but I was struggling with it. Like, I was just struggling with the nothingness that was going on in the upper right-hand side. So ultimately, I kind of put this one aside after I worked on it for a little while, and I started this one, which is more of a vertical format. And if I'm being completely honest with myself, I really lean towards a vertical format just in general. I just really like it. I always gravitate towards that type of composition. And with this one, I felt like, since ultimately what I want this to be is a coloring page, I thought it really helped to make it clean and clear and not be overly cluttered with different things. You'll see here that I kept adding things and taking them away, and I really struggled with keeping this clean and simple, and just the idea that this is going to be a coloring page. I don't have to add all of the details. The details can be added by ultimately whoever is going to be coloring this page in. And so yeah, so I think where I landed was the simplest place, and I think this was a really good start, especially for my first one. So yeah, so where we landed with this, I think I'm really happy with, and the only thing left to do is test it. Okay, so we made it to, I guess, the second to last step in the process of creating this coloring page, which is the testing. So the only thing left after this is to make any changes or tweaks that we've that we find are necessary after testing it out. But really, testing it in this case is just a matter of actually coloring it in. And I had to go online and take a look at some videos of like other people who actually do a lot of coloring, just to see kind of how they like to color, how coloring is actually, how it's done, what materials are used and things like that. And it looked to me like a lot of times people are using colored pencils and sometimes paint, but not that frequently. But I just thought colored pencils would take way too long to do this whole illustration. This is an 8x10, what I printed out here. So I went ahead and printed it on watercolor paper, and I used a toner printer to print it out on watercolor paper, and I was not at all sure that this was going to work, guys. This is not something that I normally do. It worked okay. The toner definitely bled somewhat. I don't think that the printer liked the paper at all. It actually jammed the first time I tried to do it. This watercolor paper is pretty thick. It's nice watercolor paper. But the second time it went through. So I printed it out and then went right on in with kind of just laying in a nice warm under paint of where I thought some of the darks and the lights would end up going. And then I didn't really go in with a plan, guys. I just kind of made it up as I went along, and I kind of liked it. I started off with really, really pale colors and kind of just built up from there. And as you can see now, I'm kind of going in there and reinforcing some of the lines with some darker paint, and then ultimately with some ink. And I just keep building and building up the color. The one thing that I will say is that this is addictive. Like, I can see why people really like to work in coloring books, because you kind of can do whatever you want. Now, normally when I paint, I'm looking at a reference and I'm trying to sort of replicate a likeness. But with this, you could just kind of go for it and just do whatever you want. You can use whatever media you want. You can add whatever colors you want. You can, just go for it. And I found that to be a lot of fun. Like, I put in all of this paint, and then you'll see soon that I went on top of it with some colored pencil to just give some nice gradients and some really soft texture. And yeah, I just had so much fun with it. So whatever momentum I had lost in the tough part of the process, which was kind of figuring out the composition and doing all of the line art, I kind of gained it back when I actually started coloring in this page. And I'm really, really glad that I didn't let myself kind of let this one fall to the wayside, and I kind of forced myself to finish it, because this really was something that I wanted to do for a long time. It's been in the back of my head for a really long time, and I would even say more than a year. And I just never found the time to do it. Like, I just never sat down and said, this is the time, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to let myself take the time that it's going to take to get this done, because it really did take a lot of time. Like, the line work that you saw me doing, what was that? Like, it was sped up and it was like a 2-minute clip of me working on that line art. But in actuality, like, that was days. Like, that was done over, I want to say probably like 3 or 4 days. And it really did take a long time. It took a lot of work, and it's just so easy for this to look effortless when we put it in, a time-lapse video and we look at it as a speed paint. But it really did take a lot of work. It took a lot of effort. It took a lot of mental effort for me to jump back into it after being, taking some time off. So I'm really glad that I actually finished it, and I didn't I didn't give up on it. So I mentioned that this is the second to the last step in the process. The last step in the process is to make any changes. And at this point, I'm not sure if I want to make any changes. There are maybe a couple of tweaks that I think could be made. So like where you see where it says the gentleman's, like the is kind of on the same angle as gentleman's, and if I was going to be really, really picky, I probably would straighten that out so that the and T company are all kind of on a straight horizontal, and gentleman's is the only thing that's kind of on that diagonal. But that's being really picky at this point. That's not like a necessary change, but I think it's probably the one change that I saw that I would make if I was going to go back into the file. And speaking of going back into the file, I think one of the things that I've been trying to think about is, I originally designed this as a coloring page, but that could mean lots of different things, right? Like it could mean it's a page in a book of, coloring, lots of coloring pages. Or it could be a canvas, like a standalone canvas, like one of my DIY kits. It could be something that it could be stationery, like postcards or greeting cards that you could then color in yourself. Like it could be so many things. So that I have to still figure out as well as like, could there be multiple versions of this? Like if it were maybe a digital download, could it come with a couple of versions? Maybe one where there's just the dog and the flowers, and maybe there's one with just the flowers and the Gentleman's Tea Company logo and no dog. And those are some of the kinds of things that I'm thinking about now, and I'm considering as I think about like, what is this actual product gonna look like once it hits my shop and it's available for people to pick up. So that's what I'm thinking about now. But at this point, I'm just enjoying the fact that I actually finished this illustration. It's a whole page. It looks really finished. I'm really happy with the simplicity and sort of the clarity of the design. I had an amazing time coloring it in and playing with all these different materials that I don't normally play with. And I'm really, really hopeful that other people are going to find it just as enjoyable, just as cute, and just as much fun as I did. Okay, guys, so that's it for this project and for this video. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that it was something that helped inspire you even to come up with a project for yourself. It definitely was what I needed this month to get me back in the groove, and I'm really glad that I finished it. So tell me what you think. I'd love to hear it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you soon.